morning, I was sitting out here, coffee and contemplating because I didn't get to writing yesterday, so I'm gonna write probably two. I'm gonna try to get 2 articles out today, since I have in the morning to kind of get stuff done. But I was sitting here and I was thinking about topics and thinking about different stuff, and I have this article that I want to write on today's live stream topic for sure. But it's called, I think my article is going to be called "My Boyfriend Would Be a Sex Addict If He Was Dating Anybody Else." So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about men, we're talking about sex, we're talking about stress, we're talking about how does that relate to women, what does that all mean for us, for a woman. And tomorrow, Addison, Belle, and I are teaching Cock Connective, a class for men, which is going to be live streamed. There's an online version of it as well, so just so you guys know. But I was thinking about, what better thing to talk about today than about sex and men and stress. And then we have this whole thing of how that relates to women, right? And it's interesting. I work a lot with couples, and this is one of those topics that masculine, feminine always dances around with. We don't really understand each other. Guys go, well, everything would just be better if I was having more sex. Our relationship would get healed if we were having more sex. There would be less stress if we were having more sex. We'd feel better if we were having more sex. Sex is the answer. If she loved me, then she would give me more sex. If she really truly understood where my stress level was at, that I need this, that she would give me more sex. And so a lot of the times I get from guys, that, I just need more sex. That women are going, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of frustration, and I just can't get there. I'm not turned on to the sex. And guys, unfortunately, men, you do kind of crank it up a notch when stressful situations hit the home front, and then it is the need for sex that comes through, this desire for sex that comes through, which there's nothing wrong with desire. Don't get me wrong. I'm the last person ever to say that desire is a bad thing, because it's not. Desire is a beautiful thing. But when desire turns to need, when desire turns to expectation, when in our desire we are turning over our power to our partner or to anybody else, that is where an issue starts to arise. And it is because we're turning over our power and we go into a needy state. And I am going to just lean on, so please forgive me, a lot of the things that I'm going to say today can definitely be taken for the masculine or the feminine, but we are leaning in exactly what the title is, okay? So this is all about you guys, sex, stress, and the desire for it, and how that relates to the feminine, okay? So yeah, so there is this neediness, this craving that I've noticed over the course of time in my personal life and my relationships, with different men, different relationships, but as massively, of course, with the thousands of people that I have worked with at this point in time in some fashion, where I get these couples coming in and the guy is just going, fix her. She doesn't understand that if I had this, that our relationship would be better. I'd be able to deal with her mood swings better. I'd be able to deal with the financial troubles better. I'd be able to deal with my work demands better. I'd be able to deal with, I'd have more energy to work out. I'd have more energy to spend with the kids. I'd have more creative flow. I'd just be a better man if I was having more sex. The other piece of the sex thing is that sex kind of gets kicked into, if she gives me sex, if I'm getting sex, then I am seen, I am loved, I am appreciated. Sex basically sums up love to the masculine a lot of the times. At the same time, men can be very free-flowing with sex and just kind of just go tap it all over the place and not have too much to say about it, and it just be sex, right? So sex can just be sex, but in relationship, the majority of men do perceive sex as love, a showing of love, and that's not the case. Okay, here's what's going on, just so that you guys kind of understand what's going on in the feminine on this aspect. So in the feminine, sex, if our partner is coming with us with this needy expectation around sex, Okay, the needy expectation around sex, that is actually being perceived as neediness, is being perceived as weakness, is being perceived as I need to nurture you. I need to take care of you in some facet because you can't take care of yourself. You're putting all of your responsibility onto me. It is now me who is your controller as the feminine in the relationship, that I have to, as a feminine, actually do all these things to make life right for my man, right? And so in that, there becomes a burden that the feminine feels. So the feminine starts to feel this burden. And over the course of time, if she gives in this state of not wanting, but willingness, okay? And the willingness often isn't even willingness. I mean, like, I'm being very soft with that word of willingness, because there's a lot of relationships where the sex is perceived as, well, she was willing because she didn't say no, or she took her clothes off, or, she went along with the sex, so that means that she was willing to do it. So as long as she's willing, right, then it's okay. It's all good. As long as the woman is willing, it's all good. And we have this perception, male and female, that as long as the woman doesn't say no and throw a fit and get like, no, that the willingness of just sort of being a yes, but not really authentically being a yes, makes it okay to do. Well, inside the feminine, when this willingness of doing sex is at play, unfortunately, what is going on is she's hating on you. She's bitter. She's resentful. She's angry. She is leaving her body in that moment because she doesn't want to be in her body. She doesn't want to be there because she's willing to offer up her body so that she doesn't have to deal with a piss poor attitude with a short fused husband or boyfriend, where she's willing to offer up her body so that he doesn't jump down the throats of the kids, he doesn't act out, a fist doesn't go through a wall, there isn't a retraction of love where he's ignoring her, where he's completely turning away, there's no touch, there's frustration, there's sharp words that are being seen, where there's, like, he's maybe will drink more if she doesn't have sex, but if she has sex, then it can be a mellow day or two or what have you. So if she is being willing to do that, she's doing it for all those reasons, but she's not doing it in a state of love, in an actual state of giving. Okay, so that would be a wanting to give the gift of. Okay, so I want you to take that in, because this is, I'm telling you, I kid you not, 90% plus of relationships definitely are going to go through this consistently, and the masculine feels that they are getting sex and that the woman is into it just because she's in bed with them, just because she's there, okay, just because she didn't shove them away and off the bed or off the couch or wherever it's taking, that didn't happen, therefore she must be good with this. For women, sex is an emotional thing as well as a physical. It is deeply emotional, and our emotions must be in it in order for our physical body to be in it. We must mentally, emotionally be there with ourselves first and with our partner next, so that we can be fully engaged. Otherwise, there is emotional, mental, and physical problems. I hate to use the word problems, but problems that erupt from the willingness aspect. So anytime a woman is just giving herself over like that consistently, there are going to be problems that will develop. And if you've ever noticed, and if you've ever had sex with a woman and you're like hanging from the chandeliers because you're like, yeah, I had sex and oh my God, it was great, and I had this kind of orgasm and it was so blah, 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 whatever you're feeling. And then the next morning you wake up and you're thinking that it's going to be awesome, and she's in the kitchen slamming dishes around, or she's slamming the laundry around, or she feels sharp and cold, and you're like, maybe it's just hormones. It's just hormones. All right, is it hormonal? Yeah, there is hormones that take place, because we can go down a whole female blue ball level here. Basically, if she's faked it, if she hasn't actually had an orgasm, then you probably gave her female blue balls. If you brought any energy up sexually with her and then she didn't actually get there, now she's got female blue balls, and that's going to make her crash big time. So if you like get your woman just into like turned on state, but then never ever let her actually have that orgasm. That's what female blue balls develop from. And then you get bitterness and angry resentment. You get short-tempered moods with her. You knock her, all of her hormones out of whack completely. And then she's going in and out of waves of depression and anger and separation of self and all this kind of stuff. And it's not a pretty sight to see a woman that that's what I refer to as female blue balls by any means. And that is just like that lack of orgasm, being teased and not having any place to go, which is a very common thing that happens between masculine and feminine, where the guy will get his and the woman just gets teased, and then this is left with this sensation, this throbbing, this achiness. Okay. Now, on the other side of that, what happens? So that happens. Now you're like, woo, we had sex. She's either has female blue balls, or she was just willing to go along with it. There wasn't really any teasing, that's a two-way street. She's got to be able to drop down. She's got to do her work to be able to drop down and everything. But if she's really not turned onto it on the front side, there's no desire on her side at all, then that willingness probably has her completely detached from her body and detached from her heart. So she's not going into any state of surrender in this at all, because she doesn't even want to be there. Okay, plain and simple, she doesn't want to be there. She would rather go read a book. She'd rather go take a bath. She'd rather go take a walk. She'd probably rather go do the dishes and then be in a sexual situation in that moment. So her body is just being used for a masturbation tool, and nobody wants to feel like that. So what does a woman do? She escapes her flesh. She goes into her mind. She detaches from the body, and you're working with basically a human blow-up doll in that moment where she's not even there. So that next step for her in the morning, the after hours of that, is detachment. Anger that she had to detach. Anger that it wasn't seen, that she wasn't a yes. That yeah, she was willing, but she wasn't a yes. And it's still, she was used in this aspect. Anger that she had to lift him up like that, but tear herself way down to get him lifted up. Anger that if she didn't allow herself to be torn down in that moment and used, that she would have all connection stripped away from her, that she would have to go into defense mode to guard against the negative energies that would be coming into house, home, with children toward her, the whatever that might happen, the fear of abandonment, the fear of all those kinds of things of like, well, if I don't do this, then he is going to react like this. Okay? So what I want you to look at there, gentlemen, is plain and simple. Like, where are you guilty of potentially doing this? Where are you making the assumptions? Because what are assumptions doing? Assumptions are definitely making an ass out of everybody, right? So it is like, where are the assumptions in what your woman is offering you? Or what is she offering you? And what is she actually saying underneath the lack of communication that she is giving you? Because if a woman is not communicating with you on it, if she is just going, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it, let's do this, like basically like, come on, let's get this over with, then you have to really start to look at it and go, is it worth it? Is my few minutes of gratification here, which actually equates to just a few seconds, right? Is my few seconds of gratification worth tearing her down at that level? Because that's what it's doing. Now, the flip side, now that I've gone down that path, the flip side is a woman who wants to give to her man, even though she may not be in a complete and total desire for the sex, can occasionally, in a state of love, if she is fulfilled, if she is feeling connected, if she is in reverence of her man, if she can look at him and surrender to his masculine enough and know that he truly loves her, that there's all this stuff going on, they've built strong connection, she's not suffering from female blue balls, she feels strong in herself, she speaks her truth consistently, she's doing all the right things on that. Now, if she looks at this situation and her husband has a stressful day at work or something like that, and he comes home and she can see and she knows, because women know, we all know, well, if we just gave him a little bit of sex, that would completely alter the mood, completely shift it. We understand the power of sex, which is why women use sex so much in capturing a guy. I mean, and I hate to do this to you ladies, but we do this, right? We give fun, playful, more sex on the front side of a relationship in those courting times. That's our form of courting, is that we will give that up. We will be more playful. We will be more engaging. Or even on the front side of a marriage, like there's like that newlywed phase, right? That honeymoon phase where it's all so much more playful. And look at like this. I got my shaggy shirt on today with, it wasn't me, with all the different positions. And we're more likely to do all these different positions and different places to explore and all this kind of stuff. So we're a lot more adventurous and playful. And then we get down the road a little bit and we grow weary because maybe it wasn't really us. Maybe we're just like, or maybe we end up with too many female blue balls and we just go, I'm just done with that stuff, right? Because now we're just feeling kind of like, ugh. But on that front side, we kind of captivate because we understand that we can capture a man through his sex, that is a language that he understands as love, that he can get connected to, that we can influence him through sex easily. Sorry, guys. It's true. Don't turn over your powers to the woman. That's all my advice is there. Don't do it. Just don't turn the power over. Allow yourself to feel your sexual energy. Enjoy the sexual energy, but don't hand over your power to your woman no matter what that relationship is. Because in that handing over, you are now becoming the victim in your relationship and giving her the reins to control you in every way, which guess what? Then you are no longer the leader. You are no longer the masculine. You are no longer the one who is actually in charge of that relationship. She needs to surrender to you, not you become a victim to her sexual energy. Now you can dance in her sexual energy, you can breathe it in, you can use it for creative energy, for movement, for all of that, to feel your power more. But there's a difference between using it to feel your power versus handing your power over to her and letting her dictate to you what you should be doing, how you should be acting, and being able to completely alter the course of your emotions, your actions, your everything through sex. Okay? Through sex. So what happens when a woman really truly wants, because she does have that strong man in her life. She does understand feminine energy and she wants to give a gift. And I look at this as like there's a difference between the spoiled child who is demanding that they get something. And like, if you love me, you would give me this, and you're just a horrible parent if you don't give this to me, and blah, 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 blah. And they throw their fits and their tantrums all over getting it, and they're demanding because they have this expectation that this should come to them. So they cop attitude, and they pout, and they yell, and they scream, and they're a spoiled kid around it, right? And what happens if a parent caves and gives a gift, whatever they're wanting to them? Is it truly a giving in that moment to give a child a gift that is throwing a fit, a tantrum? Or is it just to appease them, to shut them up so that we don't actually have to deal with them? Right? I mean, just think of the little kid in the candy store who's throwing a fit over the candy. And you're like, no, we're not getting you. You've had enough sweets, right? You've had enough sweets. I'm not giving you any more candy. No, we need to have food. We need to have water. We need to blah, 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 blah. No more candy. But then the kid throws his fit and we fine one piece of candy. Fine one piece, right? And so we buy the one piece of gum. We buy it, whatever. We give it to them. They're happy for a half second. And we're like, do we really want to buy it for them? Are we really doing a true act of sharing, of giving in that moment? Or are we actually just appeasing and not acting from a state of love, but from a state of, I'm just trying to shut you up, right? I'll take control of the situation by buying you the candy. Well, this is where the wanting and the willing in our sex comes into play, okay? And that willingness that we were talking about, that is the woman basically acting like, okay, here's the kid in the candy shop. Fine, here's your piece of candy. I don't want to give it to you, but fine. Here, just shut up. Leave me alone. Go away. You're stressing me out. I can't handle this, so here's your candy. That's not love. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of resentment. There's a lot of bitterness. And you catch a mother in those situations, not 30 minutes later, slamming her hand down on the counter, just going, oh, why won't they stop, right? And the kids just running over her boundaries left and right, and her not being respected in multiple ways, all because she gives the candy too freely, because they know that they can throw a fit, they can pitch that fit, and that mom is going to just appease them with that candy. Well, that same thing happens in our sex life. And guys, you don't want to be appeased, right? You don't want to truly have your woman just appeasing you. I think that most men, if they really truly love their wives, would say, or their girlfriends, the woman in their life, that they would say, no, I don't want her to just appease me. I actually want her to be engaged. I actually want her to want to be there. I want her to desire me. I want to feel desired. I want to feel loved. I want to feel the intimacy, the connection, right? That's what I'm going for. I don't want to just be appeased. The sex is great. The ejaculation is great. But I really am looking for her to be a part of it and to want to be there. I don't want her to do something that she doesn't want to do. Yet, so quick to accept the willingness for her to just appease you, right? So the wanting is the gift that we see that somebody wants or needs, and we go and we're like, I know that will really, really shift them. That will really be helpful in this, and I want to make them happy. I want to make them smile. I want to give this, okay? Maybe I need to stretch myself a little bit here, but I really want to give this. The other day was my daughter's 23rd birthday, and she has wanted this new laptop. It flips, it turns into a tablet, touch screen, all this kind of stuff for all her photo editing and everything. She's a photographer, so she wanted all this cool stuff on it, into the programs, and she was absolutely convinced that she was not going to get this laptop. Like, she was just convinced that nobody was going to hear her, nobody noticed, and that she was going to get a whole bunch of little shit that she didn't really need for her birthday. But she was committed to just not having a tantrum over getting little shit. So of course we got her a bag full of little shit just to play with her, and she's opening up all these presents and everything, and you could just watch her face kind of just go, but she held it together. She made some jokes and everything, but she didn't throw a fit about it. And then we brought out the next batch of presents for her, and in that batch was, like the computer bag that she opened first, and then the computer tablet, the cover, the soft squishy cover thing to protect, the protective cover and everything like that. And she started to cry as soon as she opened that, because she realized what that final present was, and it was something that she wanted so badly, and it was beautiful, and it was so awesome to be able to give a gift, and that we all knew, because we all went in on this gift. It was like a joint gift to really make sure that we could get her exactly what she wanted. So everybody leaned into that to make sure that she could have what she wanted and that we knew that she needed. And it was truly given, not from a place of her throwing this fit of like, I want da-da-da-da-da, but from all of us going, we really want to make her happy. We really want to be supportive of her business and giving her what she really truly needs and wants right now. And she was crying from joy and happiness and just so thankful. And even yesterday, she was just messaging me, thank you, Mom, thank you so much, blah, 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 because she's so full of gratitude for that, because it really was on point, and it was also not a forced gift. It came from a place of love. And that is that I want to give. That is that true gift of sharing and giving, where we lean in. And even though we may not, like you could say on like a computer, it could be maybe like in that, like financially push yourself, like you're giving a gift, but you're financially pushing yourself just a little bit, but you know how much that means to that other person. And you push yourself just a little bit, but you don't break the bank over it, right? You're not going to go bankrupt in the gift giving. But in our sex, if us women can look for those opportunities when we have that feeling of compassion, of love, of true desire to lean in and know that, yes, sex can be a gift, and it's okay that it can be a gift, but we have to be 100% wanting to do that, wanting to give it. Otherwise, if we're just willing to do it, if we get into that state, it's kind of like we're going bankrupt over something, okay? We're bankrupting ourselves in the wanting to try to give a gift that we don't even feel that we should be giving right now, because they're throwing a tissy over it. But then if they're holding strong, and guys, here's how you get her into that wanting phase. Number one, fill your woman up. Make sure that she's having good, deep orgasms. Make sure that you are connecting with her, that it's not just about the sex, because women, it's not just about the sex. We need conscious touch. We need conscious communication. We need intimacy, which is not just sexual focused. We need to have asked, how was your day? We need to have conversations around different things. We need acts of service. We need to be shown, hey, you see all that I'm doing. You see that, to know that if we're having a bad day, some way to like come in and go, is there anything that I can do for you? You know, that the special little things. It doesn't have to, it's never typically a big humongous thing with women to fill her bank account. It's normally lots of little things that really truly matter. Taking those little things and paying attention to those. And that right there, and then blended with, now you can do lots of little things, and if your woman is not having orgasms, I can tell you what, then her sexual and emotional bank account is going to remain at below empty, in the red, plain and simple. She will be in the red because her hormones aren't balancing out, because she's not getting properly fed, fulfilled orgasmically. So it is vitally important to, I suggest to all men read the book She Comes First, because that's a fantastic book for men to fully understand that women do need to come first. And guy, you go, and then you have to go once, and then it's over. And then the woman's just supposed to be okay with that. Like, you did that, but then what about, and I have so many couples where that'll happen, and the guy's like what I call the 2-pump chump, right? Like, it barely even makes it in there. She goes like that, he pops, and then he thinks that everything's groovy and great, and she wants to stab him, because it's just, it leaves her with female blue balls. It leaves her feeling empty and used and just like a meat sack that he is just not like, So guys, if you're not being able to hold it together, if you're that 2-pump chump guy, and you think that just by touching her a little bit on the front side that was good, or that it just because she went that was an orgasm, think again. You're being stupid. You're being immature in your sex right there, okay? And you're not going to really totally take care of your woman. And she will end up getting so frustrated that she will track to either her sex. You're going to be dealing with a moody fucking bitch on your hands. And that's where she turns crazy, okay? Or she's going to go cheat on you, or she's just going to plain and simple leave you. Like, one of those things, if not all of those things, will occur if a woman is not getting fulfilled orgasmically. And if you want to be fulfilled orgasmically, sexually, playfully, adventurously with your woman in that intimacy, you want to build that depth of intimacy with her, and you want more sex from her, then the ticket is to make sure that she is fulfilled, number one, sexually, number two, yes, emotionally and mentally. Like, make sure that she's getting the orgasms, make sure that she's getting the conversations, make sure that she's getting the touch right there, because if you get her bank account full, then she's going to be able to see those spots when you're stressed out, when you're really fatigued, when, man, sex could really solve a lot of problems, right? Like, the world's issues could be solved if you had sex right now. At least just for a moment, you would be like able to go and then you could process that stuff and work your way through it. Yeah, well, if you want her to actually be engaged and want to give that to you without any repercussions of it, without any damage at all to relationship, her or the two of you in any fashion, well, you have to make sure that her sexual emotional bank account is full first, and you have to lead. That means you have to not be fearful of standing strong in your masculine power. If you are turning into a little boy in any area of your world with her, she's going to lose respect. If you're coming to her with this neediness, if you're coming to her with an expectation, if you're coming to her where you can't hold your own, and I mean that in bed seriously, because guys, you suck at this. Do you know that the average man lasts 2 to 10 minutes of penetration time at best? Do you know that it takes a woman at least 20 minutes of penetration time to really be able to get engaged and to get there and to be able to feel? And I'm talking actual penetration time. I'm not talking about the foreplay time, the going down, the touching, the stuff like that. I'm talking penetration time. Okay? So if you're one of those dudes that just sticks it in and she makes a little rustle with her voice or tips her hips some way or scratches you a little bit and that makes you go, you're being a baby in the bedroom. Okay? Just stop that shit. Grow a pair. Learn what you need to learn. That is your responsibility, not her responsibility, to teach your body how to last longer, how to be engaged with her, how to move past that initial high tension, the intensity that you're feeling and popping it. Now 2 minute, that happens to every man. There is those moments that every guy goes through it, but I'm talking about the consistency. Okay? So if that's happening to you out there, realize that is a moment for you to just go, I need to work on me here. I've got to fix this stuff because she's not happy. She's not. Plain and simple, she is not happy with that. So I want you to make sure that if you want her to be able to recognize that when you are in stress, when you are in fatigue, when you really just need her to give you and want to give you the sex, that those moments will occur and they will occur a lot more frequently. So you are going to get met there. I promise you that you will get met there, but you got to make sure that she is fulfilled first. If her bank account's not full, if you are emptying her out, if she is operating on empty in any way in that fashion, then what is going to end up happening is you are going to throw her into bankruptcy. You are raping her body in those moments. You are depleting her, because anytime she is willing and not wanting, that is what is going on. So I want you to realize that if she's not engaged, if she is not a fuck yes to the wanting, then it's really, really detrimental to the relationship. It is detrimental to her well-being in every way, and it's definitely detrimental to your relationship. So I want you to really look at that, okay? Ladies, do your work. Like, do your fucking work. I just put a hell of a lot of blame and a lot of responsibility onto the guys there with right, because they've got to step up their game. They've got to lead. They've got to be they can't be little boys in life and in the bedroom. You know, there's David Dita has a beautiful quote saying, the way you penetrate your woman is the way you penetrate life, the way you penetrate the world. Well, if you're being a two-pump chump in the bedroom, then you're probably being a two-pump chump in other areas. You might have one area that you're really solid in, but where else are you really just caving? Are you caving on your health? Are you just two-pump chumping your health? Like, oh yeah, I really want to have a lot of vitality. I want to have a lot of stamina. But you're eating out at fast food restaurants all the time. You're living off of soda and too much coffee. Are you masking your feelings with alcohol or tobacco or marijuana or pharmaceutical drugs or whatever the fuck your choice of masking is? I mean, we all have different vices, right? But what are you masking with? Because that's also a version of, I don't want to feel. I don't really want to get engaged here. This makes me nervous. This causes me fear around stuff. Okay? So you got to bring your consciousness back to there. You want to man up in the bedroom. You got to man up in your life as well. You cannot have one without the other. Dita is absolutely accurate on that. But ladies, you have to speak your truth. You can't. If you keep giving sex when you're willing, and out of fear that he's going to retract, out of fear of his bad moods, out of fear of all that kind of stuff, and you allow that to happen, you are now participating. And I know that rape is such a strong word and everybody always hates it when I use it, but I'm serious on this. You are now raping yourself. You are allowing yourself to be used like a masturbation tool, okay? Instead of saying no, instead of going, I know that you might want this, but I can't give this to you right now. I'm not in a space that can give this to you. What else can I do to support you in your stressful situation? You've got to start speaking your no's around the sex, especially if you're not really truly coming at it from a place of heart, a place of like, I really want to give this to him because I love him and I want to give it to him. If you are doing it, I'm scared. I should do this because he's needy, because he's crying about it, because he's throwing his fit over there, because I'm afraid that he's going to abandon me in some way, because I'm afraid of the retraction of love. If you're doing it from that, that's not love. That's fear. That is you coming from a fear state, from that low vibe. And that's a disconnect to yourself. That's a disconnect to soul. It's a disconnect to him in your relationship. And you are definitely supporting the breakdown of your love, of your intimacy, of your sex, of yourself, of the relationship. So it's time to really stand up and start speaking your yes and your no authentically with him. Guys, that means support her authentic yes and no. Okay? And then also doing the work of taking responsibility, ladies, for yourself. Don't just expect your man to read your mind on what you need in the bedroom or in anywhere in life. Don't be afraid to say, hey, today's a really stressful day. Can I get you to take this off my plate? Can you do that? Ask for the support. The masculine is a beautiful thing because guess what? If we ask for something, they're willing most likely to give it. They're looking for direction. If you point a man in a direction with a direct request, chances are he'll go get it for you. Chances are he will make it happen, or at least he's going to do everything in his fucking power to try to make it happen. But he's not a mind reader. He cannot read your mind. He does not understand the feminine. He doesn't understand our tide pools and the whirls of emotion that we go through. So you cannot sit back and expect him to get where you're at emotionally, and then get mad because he took something because he perceived that you were okay with it, because he didn't know, because you didn't speak. Now, granted, hopefully any man who watches this starts to question the wanting and the willing and does a little bit of inquiry work there. But ladies, guys are still guys. Okay? So that means that you got to vocalize it. You've got to bring it up to the truth there. You've got to be able to speak that truth to him. And you got to also start to do your own work. How can you give to yourself more? Where are your boundaries weak? What are the things that you need to do for you that you're expecting somebody else to take care of without you ever speaking your truth around? You know, start to really look at things from where is my responsibility in this, instead of just the finger pointing to the other. And then look at also the sex that you're having with your partner, and learn where your responsibility in that good sex is and where your responsibility in the bad sex is. Because it's a two-way street always. If you're having good sex, bad sex, gourmet sex, crappy sex, just a using sex, you know, well, it's still a two-way street. It took two people to get there. It's two people that need to have healthy boundaries. It's two people that need to vocalize their truth. It's two people that need to communicate. It's two people that need to slow down enough to actually start to pay attention to self and to their partner a little bit more. So today's topic, there you go, guys. Yes, guys need sex more. They want sex more when they are stressed, when they're fatigued, when they're worried, when they're caught up. And yes, that can come across as neediness, as addiction, as, you know, frustration to us. It can make us look like, oh wow, because we go, I should do that as a woman, like I should give that. And that is a complete and total fucking turn off to a woman, right? We don't look at neediness or an expectation around sex as being attractive. It isn't. It weakens our attraction level to men. But guys do actually need it. They do. They need it more. They desire it more. It really is altering to their world. Where a majority of women are like, I'm not interested in sex when I'm in these stressful situations. I need to do all of this and take care of this and harmonize this so that I can get into a turned on state. The direct opposite is true for men. The sex, that turned on state, that helps them get to that harmonized space so that they can then go and work in the world and do the things that they need to do. I didn't design us, so it's a little messed up. I'm sure that there's a reason for it, right? There's always the yin and the yang and the opposites of everything. That contrast is there for a reason. But it is learning how to read that contrast and learning how to speak your truth in that contrast for any given moment. And then asking yourself, what I am doing right now, am I coming at it from a place of love or a place of fear? What am I doing? Because if it is fear-based at all, then it is not a true giving. It is not a true wanting. It's not even a true willing. It is basically taking yourself and using yourself, destroying yourself. And guys, get right with that and stop accepting so little from your woman, because that's what you're doing in those moments. If you're allowing her to just give to you when she's not really on board with it, if you are taking your sex and your orgasm and she's not really into it and you're using her body, if you're being that two-pump chump, realize that you're using her. Realize that you are destroying her. And that's a turnoff. That's a weakening. That is that weak link in the relationship. Both parties have to strengthen. Both parties have to speak their truth. Both parties have to get right with yes and no and the authenticity of it. On that note, like I said, Addison Bell and I are teaching a workshop that is local tomorrow. Noon to 3, Cock Connective. We are working on that tomorrow with a beautiful group of men. This is a men's only workshop. We are also having a online version of this available to anybody in the world, the guys in the world who would like to learn more about Cock Connective, more on these topics, more about being cock-centered, that consciousness, the conversations, really truly finding your alignment as a man, what that means, and a little bit more on the feminine, like how does the masculine relate to the feminine, and how can the masculine relate to the feminine from a strong, purposeful way where the feminine can surrender and and have that natural turn on to the masculine. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow in Cock Connective. If you are local, if you're not local, the link will come up in the comments section. And if you want to take advantage of it local, there is only limited spots. And for the online version, of course, it's unlimited spots. You will have access to this course online for a whole week. So even if you cannot make the launch time for it, that is okay. You will have access to it for an entire week. So make sure that you grab that ASAP. And then the following week, we are going to have a beautiful workshop all in female on female orgasm. It is our annual summer orgasm camp where we talk about female orgasm, we talk about female sexuality. This is a co-ed function. Local, we have certain limited seats. We are underneath COVID restrictions around here and guidelines, so we are running by that, much smaller workshops for local stuff. We are also offering this year, a first time ever, an online version to our summer orgasm camp to get that out there to everybody who cannot make it. And also, just because we have smaller classes, we want to make sure that you can still have it accessible. The same applies. You will have a week long to access all the contents for summer orgasm camp. So Cock Connective, summer orgasm camp, 2 amazing classes for going into August here, and take advantage of it. Because if your sex means something to you, if you're lacking in that department, if you're going, I don't get the feminine, I don't get the masculine, all this kind of stuff, well, these classes, they're going to really support you in your education around that. They're going to support your knowledge base, and they can definitely help strengthen your relationship, bring deeper intimacy, far better orgasm to you as a person, male or female, and of course to your partner. So look for those definitely to expand your horizons on sex, relationship, and intimacy. And as always, know that you are worthy of a great relationship. Know that you definitely can have it. You just have to get right with your authentic yes and no, and get right with who you are, and speak that truth. Come from here. Come from that place of love. Stop acting from a place of fear, and know that you are worthy. As always, stop existing, start living. I will catch you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee.